what we do is we provide altnets in the UK and in other European countries with our business and operational support software, which is called NetAdmin. And I thought that I would speak a little bit about some experiences that several of our customers have had in moving from a traditionally vertically integrated business into a wholesale business, due to the fact that we know that the altnets in the UK are either already doing wholesale or are building a wholesale business or have wholesale on the radar somewhere in the future. So the first slide here is actually a slide that I presented at the INCA Conference and Award event in 2019. And the key message of this slide is basically that we see that we have a movement towards wholesale for altnets. And we believe that it's important to prepare as early as possible for this movement. The more vertically integrated you are, the harder it will be to introduce a wholesale offering and a wholesale business. What I didn't mention was how you do this, and that's the topic that I would like to talk about today. All right. So first of all, of course, you could ask yourself the question, why do you need to prepare for wholesale at all? Isn't that just another offering, just another set of products that you have in your portfolio? Well, not exactly. What we found is viewing wholesale as just another offering causes a lot of problems. You have to view that as a completely new and different business, which is very different from a retail business, from every perspective that you can imagine. The type of investors that you typically deal with, the type of financing, and the type of customers that you have. And more importantly, from a sort of software side, the type of business processes that you have and how you implement them. And something that we think is important to think about is that many of the traditional business processes like marketing, sales, delivery, order journeys, assurance, billing, actually involves both the retailing part and the wholesaling part. And that makes interoperability between these different parties crucial. And that's one of the things that I would like to speak about. So interoperability and automation. We also think that it's important from a business perspective, business process perspective, to structure your business and your processes so that it's prepared for wholesale. So splitting is often mentioned, and that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean doing a completely functional separation and splitting out the retail business as a separate company, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be a business unit within the same company. But what we have found is that splitting retail and wholesale to some extent is a good idea, and splitting a vertically integrated business without preparing well in advance can be quite complex and costly. So we have interviewed a few of our customers that have started off providing services themselves, being vertically integrated, and then moved towards being more of an open access or wholesale operator. And I would like to go over these three areas that they have found contain things that you can think about in advance and preparations that you can make. So the first one is customer journey. We often hear from operators that are planning to do wholesale that, well, if you're a wholesaler, you don't really have to engage directly with end customers, you don't have to care about the customer. Well, that's true to some extent, I guess, but as a matter of fact, the experience that the customer gets relies on not only the retailing provider, the service provider, but also on the wholesale service that is provided to the retailer. So we believe that it's perhaps even more important to think about the end customer if you're wholesaling, because the experience and the whole business case for all the involved parties relies on a good collaboration. The term customer journey was mentioned by the previous speaker, Mike, and I think that's a great tool to use to make sure that the experience with end customer is good and smooth, regardless if you're retailing or wholesaling. So we recommend wholesalers to do that together with the retailers, to think about what the end customer experience will be and to collaborate in a smart way. And one way to do that is to have a good interoperability between the different parties. So interoperability, on the top we have a number of retailing service providers with their BSS and OSS, meaning business support and operational support systems. On the bottom side we have altnets, which have their own systems and procedures, and of course a fiber to the premise network. These are the 6 sort of key interoperability areas which we have found is relevant to build up automation and interoperability around. So availability, I think that was mentioned also before. Obviously, you would like to inform your retailing providers when you're rolling out in new areas, so that would be covered by availability. You want to automate the scheduling of engineers, appointing and ordering and installation. Of course, switching is crucial, and it's highly intertwined with wholesale. So the process of actually switching from one provider to another one would require automation between the retailer and the wholesaler. Diagnostics, allowing retail service providers to troubleshoot customers themselves, manage incidents and problems, and also being able to do revenue assurance. So billing is also an area which is important. So key message is, in order to have a good business for both parties here, for the retailer, the wholesale, but also a good experience for the customer, you need a high level of interoperability around these 6 areas. And there are obviously many different solutions to this, but a solution that we have found in different countries is to have some sort of platform that connects everything together and manage this. So yep, that's what I had for interoperability. The last area of preparation that I wanted to speak about is data migration. Perhaps not the most well, it's something which is perhaps a little bit boring, but highly important. We have had operators that we have talked with, which have been trying to split the data from their vertically integrated system landscape for 5 years without success. So these are sort of 3 steps to separation in terms of managing data in your systems. So I listed 4 different entities that most operators have in various ways in their support systems. Services that they provide, resources that makes up these services, their customers of course, and their locations where they deliver services or addresses, including UPRN. So what we recommend, based on experience from our customers who have undergone this journey, is before you actually do the split of the business, do the split on the data layer, so to speak. So first of all, divide the service catalog into a wholesale part and a retail part, so that you are prepared once you want to completely separate the retail and wholesale business. Do the same thing for resources. Just discuss, make sure that you know which resources are actually owned and should be owned by each side of the business. So that's where we recommend a split. And that makes it easier to go to this final step here, where you have retail services, retail resources, and the customer data owned by the retail business, whereas the wholesale business would primarily own wholesale services, of course. You have a wholesale service catalog, the wholesale resources, and addresses. So that's on a super high level, the sort of data migration journey that we have found to be successful if you have a lot of data from a vertically integrated business and want to handle that when you're splitting the business into a retail and a wholesale component. All right. If you are interested in more information on wholesale and interoperability between network operators and service providers and other related topics, I advise you to visit our website. We try to publish blogs and white papers on relevant industry topics every once in a while, as frequently as possible.